Listen, you may be a submission machine, but where's your personality? Where's your charisma? How are you going to become a star in the WWE? Huh?
Well, do you know what I was thinking I was going to do? Is I was going to go on a reality TV show, get a faux hawk, and then come out here and act like an idiot. That's how I... Oh, wait, no. Sorry, that's already been done.
All right, everybody, welcome to the first episode of Half K NXT. This is Notorious Nando. I figured that, we're pretty much half K-ing everything. We can tell them our real name, but we can also come up with like a nickname too. What do you think, man?
Oh, that is perfect because, that is something that I did have in here. So if we're going to go with that, I'm going to go ahead and hit you with my real name, Larry, a.k.a. Hacksaw Slim Thuggin.
There you go. See?
That's where we're going.
That's how we're going to do this. Basically, what we're going to do is, chronologically go into every episode of NXT. So, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out on our first pilot episode. Why we're doing this? Hey, it's NXT. What else can I say?
You know what? That's a good point because it's like going back and thinking about what it started as and where it became. It was just like a really good thing. So we figured it's a good idea to just take everybody on a journey.
Yeah, pretty much like when you think about it, it's always known as it's the third brand within like the WWE universe, so to speak, like with Raw and SmackDown. But it's literally the only thing I've been following the last few years, and I figured like I can't really do anything else. I can't really do a review on Raw and SmackDown other than like the highlights that I watch, but I pretty much watch NXT like weekly,
Same, yeah. It's like easier to watch. It's just easier to digest. It's a nice compact hour filled with everything that you needed, so it's a lot easier to follow as opposed to sitting there for 3 hours or 2 hours and then that extra hour after the 2 hours and all those extra hours between the hours.
For real. I think hopefully I don't curse it. Hopefully we don't curse it by now and saying that I hope it stays the hour, but we'll keep our prayers in there that it will stay in the hour format that it is.
Fingers and toes crossed.
So I guess, we're going to dive into like the first episode, and the very first episode is definitely not where we are now. It definitely started off in like wackier and different formats before. I guess I'll give you a brief history. So in a weird way, NXT is like a mashup of FCW and the WWE's version of ECW. Because I guess the plan was for NXT is to be like this developmental now. I mean, nowadays it's more of like an actual third brand.
Mm-hmm,
but back then, when it was still in Florida, FCW would like run they would record everything, and it would only be in the Florida area where they would like air it on like a sports network. And at the same time, ECW was still going on, where after they kind of like did that format and then started turning that into the third brand, but bringing up some of those guys from FCW.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was like a lot of that was the first time you've seen a lot of those guys. Like, who's somebody I remember from like that incarnation of ECW? Who's that guy's name? Kevin Thorne.
Oh yeah,
like he was there. It's like, who the heck is this guy? But he's not on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
What? So it was really different. And then NXT, it just started off different. I think of it as like that ECW mixed with Tough Enough.
Mm-hmm.
Mixed with like, just FCW. Because I think some of the guys from the first season of NXT were straight out of FCW.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like they definitely, and then even like some bigger names now, like originally were in FCW, like Sheamus and Kofi Kingston, and then they went over to the ECW. But then a lot of the guys who were still in FCW before or after the ECW run kind of faded, then they were brought up to like this NXT format, the season format that they started off with. Well, yeah, let's get to it. Let's break down some of the facts of the very first episode of NXT. It happened on February 23rd, 2010. Came from the Bradley Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. First time commentators were Josh Matthews and Michael Cole, and the ring announcer was Savannah. I don't know when I'm going to be able to talk about Savannah again. I figured like we highlight some of the folks that like we'll give some shout outs throughout like the podcast series as we go along. But yeah, how much do you know about Savannah?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know anything about Savannah. When I watched the episode, I was just thinking to myself, who are you? What is this time period? What is going on? So it was really interesting to go back because I for sure didn't watch this the first time around.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Gotcha.
when I think back of this time in 2010, the only thing that I remember doing was trying to grow a beard for the first time and getting tattoos. This is like when I really started to get more tattoos. So that's 2010 in a nutshell. It's for sure. I was still watching like Raw and SmackDown, but I really wasn't watching that ECW.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I followed the ECW one for a bit, but then, it definitely, like, once it started falling off, like, I only remember watching some of the matches with Christian and Zack Ryder when Ryder was actually getting his first, like, solo run after the Major Brothers.
So when he was Long Island Ice Z?
Yeah. That's literally where the gimmick came from, was from that ECW.
Nice. Was that one pant leg Zack Ryder?
It was.
Yeah.
You definitely, you stood out, right? I guess.
If we could get Zack Ryder in his current form with the beard and the muscles, with the one pant leg, he would get a main event push.
That's it. I buy it.
Buy into it.
But yeah, so I guess we'll do this from week to week. But Savannah, her real name is Angela Fang. She actually started out back in 2008 in OVW. Back then, they didn't really have like a women's or divas title in OVW and FCW. So once she moved over to FCW, they had like this queen of FCW kind of thing. I think it was like with a crown as opposed to like a title.
I remember that.
Yeah. So this was way before. After a while, FCW did introduce like their Divas Championship, but this was before that. So I guess that was like her biggest highlight, wrestling wise, is that she became like the queen of FCW title thing. Whatever.
Oh, there we go.
Whatever you call it,
Queen Savannah.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
And then she was originally a backstage interviewer on the WWE's version of ECW. And then eventually became the ring announcer. So she will now go down in history as being the first ever ring announcer for NXT. So just remember that next time you do like a trivia night with either WWE or NXT.
Well, you're here. You're the first ever FCW Queen of the Ring. How do you feel?
I am so excited.
Well, I'm actually glad that you're excited. You deserved it. You earned it. This is your moment. Enjoy it. Ladies and gentlemen, the first ever FCW Queen of the Ring, Miss Angela Bong.
All right, man. Let's get into the episode. What did you think about this intro? Like, they pretty much kind of give you a recap of like the rookies and the pros at the same time. Skip Sheffield and William Regal. Then we had Darren Young and CM Punk. And then Justin Gabriel, Matt Hardy. And then Wade Barrett, Chris Jericho. And David Otunga and R-Truth. Daniel Bryan and The Miz. Michael Tarver and Carlito. And then Heath Slater and Christian. I never understood why they didn't have like team names. I guess I don't know how to say it. What would you name like all these pro and rookie teams if they actually had like a team name?
I have a team name for each one. So I'm going to start with Miz and Daniel Bryan.
All right.
I think I took the easy way out here and just called them Mizannual.
Oh, okay.
I was just sitting in the car and it just rolled. And I said, that's good. We'll roll with that.
Yeah.
I pulled a similar thing with Carlito and Michael Tarver. I just went with Tarlito.
Oh, I like that one.
Here's my favorite, actually, for Christian and Heath Slater. I just went with Christian Slater.
Did you know that's what he actually based his Jason or his Kristen Cage name off of? He actually used it from
what is that from?
Nick Cage and
what was that movie? That was a Face Off. It was oh man, it's gonna hit me later.
But yeah, it's funny that you thought about it because that's where he actually took the name from Christian Slater.
Oh, that's great. I love it, man. And then a good old Skip Sheffield and William Regal. I went with the Real Men's Men.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Let's see, Darren Young, CM Punk. I went with the Straight Edge Players. R-Truth and David Otunga. I went with Law and Order.
Ooh, damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that was actually like for the team I probably liked the least. It's a really good name. For Jericho and Barrett, I went with Bad News Lions. And then for Matt Hardy and Justin Gabriel, I went with V1 450.
Ooh, I like those. Yeah, man. Like, I think it's interesting knowing how they had this dynamic with. So I guess a couple of backstory of like what the season formatting was originally for ECW, or not ECW, NXT, is they teamed up the guys from FCW, teamed them up with a current wrestler on the roster and made them pros. And then the guys were rookies, even though, these guys aren't technically rookies since they've been like wrestling for so many years now, either in OVW or FCW. And then they paired them, and together they are in like this competition to see like who is gonna like get their dream. I'll go more into that later on, but yeah, I found it kind of interesting like how they kind of put these two together. Did you know originally? So I was watching the last ECW episode before this, and they were kind of like, before every commercial break, they were kind of like letting you know that NXT was going to premiere next week. And the original team was actually Skip Sheffield and MVP actually. So that was the original team, and then they switched it to William Regal. I guess they only did it just because like, to kind of mix it up, kind of like how Darren Young and CM Punk are kind of like a weird like team.
Literally the weirdest team I could think of.
Yeah,
this whole thing when I was just looking at the intro and they just showed everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm thinking that's probably why, maybe because they saw like MVP similar to maybe like R-Truth or something. And then,
I can see that.
Yeah. And then, they just switched them out with William Regal. I was trying to look up if there was anything else to it, but that was pretty much it, that they just kind of swapped them out last minute.
We are 1 week away from the premiere of NXT, and one pro that will be mentoring one rookie is MVP. MVP will be mentoring Skip Sheffield, an old-fashioned Texas boy who has been called a hoss inside the ring, who loves to entertain with an outgoing presence.
I kind of dove into like some history too, and I was looking at some of the best FCW names for the rookies. Would you like to hear them?
Yes, yes, I would.
All right, so Skip, obviously we kind of know he actually went and was actually going by Ryback back in FCW. So he kind of went from Ryback then to Skip, and then eventually in the future, of course, he went back to Ryback.
Who thought Skip Sheffield was better than Ryback? You know what? No. Skip Sheffield. That is not even like an Intercontinental Champion name.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that they were just trying to kind of do that jobberish name. So then like that way, like since they were rookies, my guess is Ryback was probably too big of a name.
Yeah, it might be a little too cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they just wanted to go with the whole first name, last name thing.
Yeah. I think, based on like the name formatting, it does seem like they were just trying to give everyone just like a plain name at this point.
Ugh, gross.
So Darren Young was actually just going by Darren Young, but he was actually with Percy Watson as the South Beach Party Boys.
Ooh.
Which we'll get into Percy Watson later on in the podcast, but yeah, they were. I didn't even know that they were a tag team back in the day, but yeah.
You know, like sometimes you go in those rabbit holes and just looking stuff up, and you just see a whole bunch of wrestlers that used to tag team, and you just think, man, I would have never thought that y'all would have shared the ring.
Yeah.
In this capacity ever.
Exactly. Then our boy Justin Gabriel was actually just known as Justin Angel, which I think he won the FCW title with that name. So
nice.
It worked out for him. Then we have Wade Barrett. He was known as Lawrence Knight. What do you think about that one?
It's too 90s.
Yeah, that's a pretty good assessment right there.
It's too dated. It's either like too 90s or too indie.
It sounds like an early WCW name when you think about it.
Definitely, like Terra Rising.
Yeah.
And then what was it? Sexton Hardcastle.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Then we have David Otunga. He was known as Dawson Alexander. That one
Like Dawson's Creek?
Like Angela. No, that's Dawkins, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Like Dawson's Creek is Daniel Bryan was still actually Daniel Bryan wasn't in FCW, but when originally trying to come up with the Daniel Bryan name, William Regal had suggested Buddy Peacock as one of the possible names he would go on to NXT with. But good thing they kind of compromised and came to Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, we're not having no yes movements with Buddy Peacock.
Yeah.
None of that.
Then we have Michael Tarver. He was known as Tyrone Jones. Yeah, not too bad.
Nah, that sounds way too. What is the word that I'm looking for? Like it's like a blaxploitation movie.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna bring in Tyrone Jones. Yeah. Yeah, that was a stretch. Michael Tarver sounds like
it does sound tougher.
Yeah,
I will give it that. And then finally, the last but not least, this is definitely my favorite one. Heath Slater was known as Sebastian Slater. You gotta. I think he should have kept that one.
The name Sebastian is completely underrated. Like we need way more Sebastians in the world.
I was very disappointed knowing that he didn't roll with that name.
You know what? Maybe they thought that he was going to be too over, because then it's like, when you see a dude named Sebastian losing in a fight, what do you want to say? Kick his ass, Seabass!
That's true.
So like, if the whole crowd would like shout that when he's getting beat up, he'd get way too over, way too fast.
I think you're right. I think that's probably why. And I guess it's just like, I mean, nowadays WWE definitely just cuts everyone's name to like a one name, but just Sebastian just wouldn't sound right, I guess. So I think
not for a redhead dude like him.
Yeah,
it wouldn't look right.
All right, so let's get to the first thing. We kick off with like a backstage promo, and it's pretty much just showcasing all the gentlemen that we just talked about, and then it's kind of interesting seeing all these. Even though they had these simple names, they definitely had they all had a unique and different look to kind of stand out as just like generic gimmicks. I mean, you saw Michael Tarver as like the boxer kind of gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Then you saw Skip as like this cowboy gimmick. And then when you saw David Otunga, I just thought of one of Jesse Smollett's attackers. he was just nice. Like hooded up and just like big buff dude, just like, you know, I was like...
You know, he looked like Lost Security to me.
Oh, yeah?
Like, it was really only supposed to be 7 of them, but he was in the camera shot, so they decided to make it an 8-man competition from there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wait, no, why do you look like that?
He's just, like, sneaking in at the last minute.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then he wrestles, like, basically naked. It's like... where's the happy medium?
Yeah, that's true. And then, The Miz just kind of shows up and then kind of does an introduction, I guess. And then he kind of tells everyone that Daniel Bryan is his rookie and kind of talks about his indie background and kind of tells him to go out there and cut a promo and to come up with like a catchy catchphrase at that point.
Oh, man, like knowing what I know now, going back and watching that, everything I know about like The Miz now, and I really think that he was incredibly underappreciated for like his verbal contributions.
Oh yeah.
But he was like really just starting to rise up and like, you know what? He is that guy when he speaks. And to like see the beginning of the rivalry we didn't know that we needed start just kind of right there. It was like kind of epic. Like, whoa, man.
I definitely, when I was watching the original, not original, but like the WWE's version of ECW, they definitely let these like younger guys kind of like stand out and have like promo time. And they had teamed up Miz and Morrison at that time.
Oh, is that where that team started?
Yeah, that's where they started.
Oh, I like them on like Raw.
Yeah.
Wherever they went after that. I like them together.
Yeah, like I think it was cool because it definitely let them kind of prove themselves and kind of get that TV time to kind of learn and, just like learn from either mic skills or wrestling and, the opportunities that they wouldn't have gotten on Raw and SmackDown at the time. And then, definitely like I knew that The Miz definitely had the mic skills from those two back then. And then Morrison was more of the workhorse and the high flyer and all that stuff.
Oh, Morrison was the wrestler of that team.
Yeah.
And then like The Miz was the mouthpiece. Like if I could think of another tag team that was kind of similar, I can't at the time. Oh, you know what they were? They were New Age Outlaws all over.
Oh,
again.
yeah.
The Miz was Road Dogg, and then John Morrison was badass Billy Gunn.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Nobody ever saw a Road Dogg match and said, you know what, I love that match. No offense to Mr. James, but come on, man.
I think for their time together, like they definitely stood out. Kind of blanking out on like what they actually did or how they actually broke up, but for their time, Miz and Morrison were definitely like a good team. And going back to this, like at this point, like you can really see Miz's like has definitely improved on like the mic skill level. He could have honestly just been like the host, even though later on we see that they introduced Matt Stryker as the host. Like easily the Miz could have been the host of like the NXT show, pretty much.
This is true. Like that could have easily been his like transition into non-active competition.
Yeah. All right. So then at that point, then we get we throw it to Michael Cole and Josh Matthews, who are the first announced broadcast team for NXT. Josh Matthews was actually on ECW with Byron Saxton, I think. So he's the one who kind of crossed over to kind of take over the same time slot for NXT, and then they brought in Michael Cole as the other announcer.
Byron Saxton was doing commentary for ECW?
Yeah. Like
he's been doing commentary that long?
Well, I think without, we're going to spoil it eventually, but once we get to his season, I think that what they did is they ended up making him, he was original wrestler, of course, in FCW, but then I think they moved him up to do commentary on ECW. And then later on, then they brought him back as a wrestler for a future season.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I thought the first time, or I thought like, he was just doing commentary and he wrestled before that.
Yeah.
Just been like doing commentary for 10 years.
That's what threw me off. Like when I was watching that last episode of ECW, I was like, oh, he was already announcing. I thought he only did that like later on in his career.
As we get set to embark on the next evolution of WWE programming, we welcome you to the last episode ever of ECW. Hello, everyone. Josh Matthews alongside Byron Saxton. Byron, this is it, the final episode ever of ECW. 2 huge championship matches. But everyone, the WWE Universe, Hollywood, Variety.com is talking about next week, the premiere episode episode of NXT. It's a brand new hybrid live event type reality show. And tonight, exclusively right here on ECW, we're going to get a chance to meet the cast of NXT.
Hey man, shout out to Byron Saxton for lasting as long as he did.
Oh yeah,
I'm not even gonna lie, I never even really liked Byron Saxton, but I respect his hustle, man.
Yeah, he definitely contributes a lot, and I'm pretty sure like he's had to do something good to be there that long. So, so then the Miz comes out after Daniel Bryan was kind of explaining his 10-year veteran status at this point, even though he was so-called a rookie. And then the Miz comes out and interrupts him and says, that he kind of failed his the test that he was trying to set him up for. I feel like they are definitely capitalizing on this story between Miz and Daniel Bryan right off the bat. But at the same time, like putting myself in the eyes of a casual fan, I felt like they didn't really emphasize like what the show was about during these first like 5-10 minutes. So like if I'm a casual fan, like I wouldn't know like this is a competition show. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, definitely. No, I definitely see what you're saying. For me, it was weird because it's like, it kind of failed to establish it like for the casual fan. But then like at the time, I think it was like 23-year-old self. 23-year-old self at the time, like thinking of indie wrestlers and then like thinking of the Miz. I'm looking at it like, you're not a pro compared to Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
But now knowing what I know in retrospect, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, no offense to indie wrestlers.
Yeah.
But you could play pickup games at the park forever. But until you get to the NBA, you're not really a pro.
Yeah.
So it's like, Daniel Bryan's been, dogging people in the indie scene.
Yeah.
He's still a pro.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, because I know he wrestled in Japan and all that, but it's like, the be all end all is like the WWE and it's supposed to be like, the big national brand. Like that's where you want to be. And that's where you cement like your like professional hood, I guess. Like he's been a professional wrestler, but you're not a sports entertainer until you get to the WWE. So it's like, oh man, now I get it.
Yeah. No, I definitely like that. Like they were definitely like making this the vocal storyline throughout the whole season. And they've definitely done a great job within this first segment, just kind of like doing that and, really getting you emotionally attached to Daniel Bryan as like the underdog, like right off the bat.
And, like Daniel Bryan really, I think, benefited from that because with how easy it is to hate The Miz, you could have put him against any one of those guys and you would have just been like, oh man, I can't wait to see you beat up The Miz. So it's like, it just so happened to work out really well because Daniel Bryan's smaller than him too. And he's like the indie darling. So it was like, oh, okay, that's perfect because The Miz represents the exact opposite of what he represents.
Yeah. And then, that's pretty much it. And then from there, The Miz just slaps him pretty much after like failing his test. And then he kind of just walks out and then just throws back to Josh and Michael Cole. And then we go to our first commercial break. After that, we come back and then we have they kind of recap everything all over again, but then they do a throw to the backstage promo with Daniel Bryan and Matt Striker. From here, Matt Striker, I don't know. I don't know if he was like told this or if he was just like kind of shooting for himself, but he kind of called out Daniel Bryan when Daniel Bryan was insulting The Miz and he was saying like, Daniel Bryan hasn't even been in the WWE for a minute. And Daniel Bryan says that like he's been doing this wrestling twice as long as The Miz. But I thought it was an interesting promo. But like, what do you think about like Matt Striker? Do you think it's more of just like him being told what to say, or like he kind of was like just doing his own thing?
I think he was told to say it because, like you said, like they really kind of built the vocal storyline around like the Miz and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, I guess you put Stryker in there to kind of generate some more heat. Towards the Miz, and then like kind of get a little bit more like sympathetic towards like Daniel Bryan and whatnot. It's like, oh man, like you finally getting your chance, and everybody's trying to step on you, man. That sucks.
Yeah.
You're our guy.
Matt Striker definitely doesn't get as much props as other people should. I think he was also an announcer on ECW when they kind of just like let him do his own thing. I can't remember if he ended up going to Raw or SmackDown to do commentary. I think it may have been Raw because at that point I just remember King kind of like bashing on him like once he was on Raw because he was more like Joey Styles where he was just like actually calling the moves and saying all the technical names for the moves as opposed to like Michael Cole and the King who would just kind of like
Everything's a Hurricane Runner.
yeah. Or
no, that was JR.
Yeah.
Oh, who they kind of run?
Or what a big move, or like just kind of calling out just the average name of it as opposed like to the technical name.
Yeah, like you're not gonna get into the Japanese arm drags and none of that stuff with Michael Cole. It's like, you're gonna get a Beal, and that's about it.
Yeah. All right. And then after that, we go to the first matchup. It's Carlito and Michael Tarver versus Christian and Heath Slater. Before the match, they kind of go over like the video packages. I believe there's like 3 of them throughout the night. I think it's Tarver, Slater, and then David Otunga. So then kind of go into Michael Tarver's video package first. And I had totally forgotten about this 1.9 seconds gimmick, I guess. Tarver in the video package explains that his dad used to be sparring partners with Mike Tyson. And then they kind of show a lot of, I mean, not only for him, but throughout the other 3 video packages, they kind of show a lot of FCW footage from their day. Obviously, they don't say their names, but yeah, they kind of just play that back and forth. What did you think of his promo skills during like this video package?
Hated it. Well, not I didn't hate it, but it was like, I guess, but I understand what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
But like, what are you saying to me that this guy's father used to train with Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
So therefore he used to get beat up all the time.
Yeah.
So are you telling me that his father then went home and beat him up?
Oh yeah, I didn't really think about it that way.
Like, what are you saying to me right now? Because like, I'm not believing that this dude sparred with Mike Tyson and was like in there giving him a run for his money.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't do that to Mike Tyson back in the day. You walked up and you got hit and you got hurt and you didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it's just like I'm never a fan of the boxer wrestler. Like, it just it doesn't click in my head. I'm like, well.
How many have we had? We've had like Mark Marrow and
Marvelous Mark Marrow, Elijah Burke, Michael Tarver.
I think you're right. I think that as far as like actual just like gimmicks, like not like actual boxers like Butterbean and and Mayweather.
Yeah.
I think you're right. But yeah, I think you're right where like that gimmick is never going to be like a main eventer gimmick. You know what I mean?
It's like, man, it's like, it just doesn't translate because it doesn't kind of like click in my head. It's like, all right, like you already are not supposed to hit people with closed fists in wrestling. You being a boxer, like your main weapon is gone. What are you saying to me right now?
Yeah.
All right, I guess. But, I like his look. I like that he wore that little mask thing over his face.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't make any sense, but he had a nice look to him. Like, that's kind of what I felt about him. I was actually more sold on Mr. Slater, but that probably comes from a bias because,
Yeah. I mean, it is hard to kind of go back and kind of put like your first time experience goggles on, so to speak. But yeah, I definitely like Slater's promo. I should say video package as well. It's kind of weird because I think I haven't like looked this up, but I'm pretty sure he's the longest active wrestler from like these original 8 contestants. I think because I'm pretty sure like him and Daniel Bryan are the only active wrestlers, and then Daniel Bryan obviously took time off. But from what I'm aware of, I don't think Heath Slater had any long-term injuries to keep him out. So I think he's been in the game since like 2010. You know what I mean?
I'm thinking really hard, and I know you're right. Yeah, no, for sure. It's Heath Slater, like being the longest active person from this cast.
Yeah.
Like, barring any injuries. Like, Heath Slater didn't retire and come back. Like,
Exactly.
He's gotten hurt and come back, but...
Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, I didn't think watching it back then, I didn't think he was actually even going to be on the roster that long.
No way.
But there he is, and he's definitely been like the long-term kind of cat throughout this whole thing. So it's pretty crazy to see it when we're just watching these episodes again.
Heath Slater, baby.
So what did you think of the match? I thought it was pretty average, but I did like some highlights where like Slater hit like this power slam reversal, and then you can obviously, as much as these guys are called rookies, and the captains Christian and Carlito are the pros. You can definitely see like the chemistry between Christian and Carlito are more solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
much more polished.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Shout out to Heath Slater though. I think Heath Slater is underrated as like a performer. Like, I'm not saying he's like the best wrestler.
Yeah.
Or like the best on the mic, but when he puts it all together, Heath Slater has it. Like, he's complete. Like, you know what you're gonna get against Heath Slater. You get in there and like he's just solid. He's not gonna wow you with like a 5-star match or nothing like that. But if it's not a squash, like Heath Slater could give you some good matches. So it was nice to kind of like see that even back then he was still pretty polished with all his red hair.
Yeah. And then like from there they kind of go back and forth, and then I like this kind of like, I don't know how to call it, what would you call it, but Christian hits like this corner somersault flip pin thing. It's like when he threw him into the corner, then like Christian, I don't know what it's called, but like I think that was like the standout to me. And then the finish was at the time Christian was calling the Unprettier the kill switch by this point. Then he hits the kill switch on Tarver for the win. And with overall like pretty short match. These first few matches were definitely more in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall decent match. Like also the first time that the rookies and pros kind of team up in in general, this is also the first NXT tag team match ever. So that's another. A lot of facts are going to go on in this
milestones, baby.
Milestone. Yeah, a lot of milestones are going to come out of this this episode. So from there, then we go to a small backstage promo, kind of transitioning into commercial with the Straight Edge Society with Darren Young, and a quick cut to David Otunga and R-Truth. And then, then we come back and it's Darren Young versus David Otunga. And then same thing, we kind of get some... Actually, we don't get a video package for Darren Young.
They really did him dirty.
Yeah.
Like, now that I'm sitting back and I'm thinking about this, dude, they gave CM Punk a promo.
Yeah.
Instead of giving Darren Young a video package.
Yeah. I was trying to think earlier. I was like, were there a package for each guy? But no, like you're right. Like they didn't even give Darren Young one. Like it was pretty much like a Punk promo.
I blame CM Punk. He's always looking like a sour crybaby. Anyway, he's probably seen a little more screen time and went for it himself.
Yeah. So then, first they come out, and then I thought it was pretty funny, like that Darren Young is still definitely just living up the gimmick of the South Beach party boy, but it's like these guys are teaming, or not teaming together, but like he's his pro and rookie, but then like they're kind of like both in full gimmick, where like both the Straight Edge Society are kind of doing their own entrance as like Darren Young's doing his own entrance, and like the whole thing. So
you know what? Like, that's really cool now that you pointed that out. But since Darren Young didn't get a video package, nobody watching that would have got it. It was just kind of right. Why are they not together? But since, if you say it like that, it's the South Beach Party Boy and the Straight Edge Society. Like, that's probably, now that you pointed out, that's probably the best team. It for the sake of just kind of like an interesting dynamic, is like, wow, you guys are completely opposite.
Yeah. and then after that, then we get Otunga coming out, and he has his own video package. So I'm gonna kind of review this later on, but I definitely really like this video package. You can definitely tell who at least they were trying to highlight in this episode. I'm pretty sure like in the future episodes they're going to highlight more on Justin Gabriel and Wade Barrett, but I think definitely they were trying to put the spotlight on Otunga for this episode.
I agree. Yeah, I keep forgetting that he is or was, I don't know what happened with that, is married to Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah.
And then he was also a member of I Love New York.
Oh, what is that one?
It was that reality show where like it was like The Bachelor, but reverse, because it was a woman.
Uh-huh.
And then there was a bunch of like dudes, but it was on like VH1. So it was this ratchet woman from New York, and she really wasn't even that pretty. Like, shout out to New York for being what she was. And then it was just like a whole bunch of just buff, kind of really dumb dudes.
Uh-huh.
Not saying that David Otunga is dumb because he went to law school.
He went to Harvard.
Yeah, come on, man. But yeah, they just had all these muscle bound dudes on it. I think his name was like Punk or something like that. Something like real suspect. But nah, man, David Otunga, he had the reality show treatment first.
Yeah.
He was almost the second coming of The Miz.
Yeah.
I'm David Otunga. I'm from Hollywood, California, and I'm going to win NXT. Being from Hollywood makes me a touch above everyone else. People know who I am. You know, David Otunga is a very busy man. My beautiful fiance, Jennifer Hudson, she's busy too and travels all over the place. And I'm also going to Hollywood parties, the Grammy Awards, been in the pages of People magazine, you name it. Not to mention I've been to the White House this year. Twice. I don't really have any weaknesses. I'm faster, I'm stronger. Nobody has a body like this. Hands down, I'm the best looking. This face looking so smooth and so fresh. Come on, look at this face. The one thing I tell people is if you don't know me, you should. I am David Otunga, the next WWE superstar. Come on, man, Google me.
And then at the end of the video package, he says to Google him. So I did that before the show. Unfortunately, I won't go into the details because, I don't want to speak well of people's personal lives. But apparently he did kind of separate from Miss Hudson. And they're kind of going through some legal battle. But I did also, on the same Google search, saw that he was in the recent Medea family funeral movie.
Oh, good for you. Shout out David Otunga.
Yeah, and apparently, he's... he got like a pretty good starring. I don't know if it's a starring role, but he definitely got a bigger role in that movie. So
wasn't he in one of them WWE movies with Halle Berry?
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah, it was like that one WWE movie that nobody knew was a WWE movie because it had Halle Berry. It's like, where'd you guys get the budget for this?
It actually, from what I remember, it did pretty well too. Like in the box. I mean, not like 5 stars or anything like that, but it definitely made back the money that it was invested into.
Basically, all the money that they paid Halle Berry.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty sure that was it.
100%.
So then, Young and Otunga. This is also the first rookie versus rookie match of the season, and in NXT history, I guess. They kind of go to Josh Matthews during this match of mentioning that he was in the original Tough Enough. Michael Cole was trying to get like some insight from him on like how these competitors were feeling with the butterflies in their stomach and everything. And Josh had mentioned that he had actually, I never knew this, he apparently never wrestled in front of the WWE crowd. I guess he was always just like on Tough Enough, and then he just moved into the broadcast team right after that.
That's right, yeah, because Josh was like the favorite because everybody was going for Josh, man. And then he didn't win. And it was like, oh, man, what they going to do with Josh?
Yeah.
He never wrestled. That little dude with one leg wrestled in front of the crowd, but Josh never did.
Oh, yeah. That's, I forgot about him.
Zach Gowen?
Zach Gowen, that's right.
Man.
And then, so I would say that this was definitely the match where the video packages were longer than the match. Because David Otunga kind of hit like this botched spine buster, I think. And picked up the victory pretty quick. I think overall it was only like a 30-second match, but I think this is the same thing where, like, with the video package and this kind of like squash win, they were definitely trying to make David Otunga like the guy for at least this episode anyway.
Yeah. Nah, I see that. Because, I mean, I guess if you think about everybody else who's there, he's the most handsomest of everybody else who's kind of there so far. And he got, like, the best look.
And then, yeah, just all that fame.
Yeah, you know, like Jennifer Hudson's husband.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you know, that was a snoozer of a match.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is probably going to be mean. But that match was pretty much exactly what I thought about, like, their whole careers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just kind of like there and over in an instant in the WWE. Because where's David Otunga now in the pre-show?
Yeah, he's pretty much just like a on the commentary team for like any of the pre-shows at this point. He had a brief run, I believe it was on SmackDown once they like kind of reorganized everybody. But then I think either Booker T took his spot, and then from there someone else took Booker T's spot. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, you know, he was really starting to come into his own too. Like,
yeah.
You know, like when he was first on commentary, I didn't think it was a good idea. It was like, yo, what is this? And then, like, you know, he just started to find his voice, and then they stopped bringing him on.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, dude, that's scandalous.
Yeah. And then, I feel like a lot of these guys, since like all the broadcast teams have been filled up with Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, that they kind of just put these guys in like these pre-shows nowadays. So you got him, Booker T, Lawler, and Shawn Michaels always doing like these pre-show broadcasts.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense for guys like Booker and Shawn. Like, Shawn will probably do it whenever he's in town, and Booker, you know, he's got his own wrestling thing, so he probably didn't want to like travel around as a commentator all the time.
Yeah.
And for Otunga, who knows what he's doing? Like, maybe he's lawyering or something like that. Like, I don't know. He's still buff, so that's cool.
Yeah. So from there, we go to the third commercial break, and before that, we kind of get like a recap of the first segment with Daniel Bryan, and then once we come back from commercial break, there's a Raw recap. I totally forgot about these things because, you know, we don't really get these on current NXT programming anymore. So I had totally forgotten about the Raw recaps, and I had totally forgotten about this feud that they were kind of highlighting with Batista and John Cena. Did you even remember that they had a WrestleMania match together?
No, I did not until I saw this, and I was like, what? When did that happen?
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for how long the Raw recap was.
Right.
Like, I thought it was just like, here's your Raw recap. And it showed like a couple slides and get back to it, but it was like a full like segment that they were going to air next week on Raw. Like,
It was definitely that, because like they did that, and then they kind of went to the next segment, and then after that they went to like another commercial break, like right off the bat. So like,
yeah, like that was definitely what that was. Like, they even threw a ringtone download.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
advertisement in there. That really caught my attention. Really caught my attention.
Yeah, because after that, then we had Chris Jericho come out with Wade Barrett, and pretty much, like they just kind of walked out because of that Raw recap. They kind of just like took all the segment time. But yeah, I had totally forgotten about Chris Jericho's gimmick at this time, where he was kind of like that serious kind of suit and tie Jericho.
Oh, I love this Chris Jericho when
yeah.
he's the best wrestler in the world.
And he just had won the world title too, apparently. Like, because I was watching the ECW before it, and he didn't have it then, and then he just like had won it. I'll put a plug in on like who he actually beat. I can't think of right now, but he kind of just became the world champion at this point.
Let's just say Shawn Michaels.
WWE presents the Elimination Chamber.
I believe the end is near for Jericho. Oh, what? Shawn Michaels! Oh my God, Shawn Michaels! Sweet chin music! There's no disqualifications! Sweet chin music! Chris Jericho is the new world champion. He's going to WrestleMania.
This is unbelievable. Shawn Michaels has just cost The Undertaker the world championship.
Then we have Jericho and Barrett in the ring. unfortunately, Savannah does not introduce Chris Jericho. Jericho wants Wade Barrett to do the introductions. From there, Barrett kind of goes for himself, I guess, and just kind of like puts himself over while trying to introduce Jericho, and then Jericho just kind of cuts him off, saying like, "I just want you to introduce me." So from what I read previously, I think this was like a shoot, because like at that point they did kind of just make all the rookies just say their own kind of their own words, where like there was no script written. So at that point, like they were told that to really just be as blunt as possible. And then I think Jericho really just wanted him to introduce him as opposed to like put himself over. Yeah.
Bad news.
Bad news for him.
Bad news.
But yeah, I just thought this was really cool. Jericho is the master of like just these facial expressions. Just like this whole time as Barrett is giving him his introduction, like he's just stone faced and just like really just being like that asshole Jericho kind of.
He's such a character. I love that guy so much. Like, literally, my favorite wrestler ever is Chris Jericho.
Yeah,
and I will go down my grave saying that. Jesus.
From there, then The Miz and Daniel Bryan come out. Of course, they're kind of continuing the feud there, where like Daniel Bryan walks right in front of The Miz and just kind of takes the spotlight for himself. And then they add the Snickers kind of sponsor spot, which is always weird to me. Like how I normally thought they would like remove these from the network, but then they kind of just like showcase the sponsor, but they kind of remove the catchphrase of that sponsor. So you have like this dead air as like the logo is just spinning, and then like there's no commentary or anything like that. I don't know why they do that, but
you know, I don't know either. I got nothing.
Yeah, it's just it just felt weird because like when you watch it live, like obviously they'll say all their catchphrase for like the sponsors, but here it's just like they just say Snickers and then like it's just dead air at that point.
Sometimes you think that in this era of technology, we don't have stupid things like that. But,
yeah.
You know, mankind never ceases to let you down in that aspect.
And then from there, then we go to the fifth and final commercial break. Then we come back and the actual main event starts. Then this is also now the first rookie versus pro matchup with Jericho facing Daniel Bryan. The first thing that I noticed is, like as this match starts, like the commentary team just kind of like, it felt like they kind of turned like a green light on as like they were like finally awake. Where
they had to do commentary at this point.
Yeah, because at this point, then you have Michael Cole like really. I don't know if this is where like heel Michael Cole started, because this is definitely where he started getting on Daniel Bryan of just like calling him like the internet darling and all that stuff that he would go on throughout the season. But I wasn't sure if like this heel gimmick had started just on this episode or if he was already a heel commentator on Raw. I can't remember.
Is this before he wrestled?
Yes, this is definitely before he wrestled. Because I think this is where like he started getting over as a heel on NXT, and then I think it led into Raw, and then it led into the whole anonymous general manager stuff that he started doing. But I can't remember if this was like the inception of like his heel kind of like gimmick at this point. But I
look that up.
Yeah,
heel Cole.
But yeah, pretty much Josh kind of plays both sides. He kind of praises Daniel Bryan and kind of saying that he's been wrestling all over the world, and just kind of saying that he's been doing it for a long time, while Michael Cole was like kind of burying him the opposite way, just saying like, I've never heard of him before, and blah, 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 blah. And then they kind of go to Matt Stryker and do a ringside interview with Wade Barrett. And then kind of same thing, Matt Stryker kind of asks him like, what are you learning from your pro? And then he starts saying something else, and then Stryker kind of cuts him off again and saying like, no, what are you actually learning from him? And then, so I find it kind of interesting that like they have Matt Stryker kind of just like really just like kind of bully like the rookies in this season.
Yeah, it's pretty awkward.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. What can't we just have somebody who's kind of impartial? A lot of hate.
Yeah. Then yeah, like these guys kind of go back and forth, and then after a while, then Daniel Bryan does his like trademarks corner somersault flip, and then finally at that point, Michael Cole does give him some praise, saying like, okay, that was pretty cool and stuff like that. And then eventually we get to like the famous spot that infamous spot, I should say, that they kind of replay throughout NXT history, where Daniel Bryan goes for a suicide dive, and then Jericho reverses him into the announcer's table, and it looked pretty brutal. And then afterwards, the camera kind of does like a close up on Daniel Bryan's back, and it was already like starting to bruise at that point, which yeah, it was. It reminded me of when recently when Charlotte was recently like battered by Becky Lynch with like the what's it called, the kendo sticks, and that she had just like these huge like bruises
and welts.
Yeah.
It's always a good. It's like what that was when who chopped Daniel Bryan and broke his chest. Roddy,
yeah,
in a Rumble.
Yeah.
Tore that fool up.
Yeah, it's a cool visual, and like, but yeah, it was probably the spot of the night in my opinion. Just like catching everyone off guard and highlighting that bruise.
Definitely, yeah, they went at it. The bruises is good because like it's bruises will heal. Yeah, it's not like they're still bleeding. Or it's like, oh no, he's bleeding, and now it's like, I guess the equivalent to that would be like bruises. Like, ooh, look at this chest. Oh my god.
Yeah, I totally agree. From there, they kind of do some pretty cool counters. Jericho catches him for the walls of Jericho, and then Daniel Bryan reverses it into his own submission. I don't really know what this was called. It's where he kind of had him in like a half Boston Crab, but it wasn't. He was kind of like on his side.
I think it might have been a heel hook.
Oh, right.
He's using that currently, right?
I think so.
Yeah. No, that was that heel hook.
Okay, yeah. And then from there, I totally forgot that Jericho was already hitting code breakers back then. I thought this was more of like a mid 2010 thing, but he was already hitting like.
Oh yeah, dude. I think once he got that haircut and he started wearing the trunks. Yeah. Oh yeah, he was code breaking.
Oh okay. Yeah.
He started to go through like a lot of finishers at one point. Like he started using like the sleeper hold slam. Yeah. I think he might have been using the either the Miz's finisher or like a front Russian leg sweep. Jericho bounced around from a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And then from there, they kind of do a quick throwaway shot to the rookies backstage, just kind of watching the match. Mm-hmm. And then Jericho finally does catch Bryan in a lion tamer, even though that they called it the walls of Jericho. We all knew that.
Oh yeah, once you get that knee on the back of the head, and he's damn that. Yeah, man. We should like just code name it as like the Colin Kaepernick because he's down on one knee on him. So that's just what that one is.
Yeah. So he does a tap out there, and match ends. I always thought this match was longer when I first watched it. I think it may have been just because they had so many commercial breaks before that. Mm-hmm. I thought the match was longer in my head, but apparently it was only like a 5.5 minute match. Then afterwards, then the Miz jumps in the ring and starts attacking Bryan after the match. Mm-hmm. And then, pretty much kind of nailing in the head that that these two are definitely going to be butting heads throughout the whole season. Then we throw away to the last backstage promo with Stryker kind of just whipped the other 6 rookies. I don't remember what he actually said, but I think it was just more of a kind of spot to just let you know that everyone else still exists.
Yes. It's like, I know you just took in a whole lot of stuff, but don't forget about these guys.
Yeah. And then from there we get the last segment, which is pretty much just like a video recap of the stuff that happened tonight. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they keep doing these, but it felt kind of weird that like, okay, it wasn't a WrestleMania that I needed to be recapped about the whole episode. You know what I mean?
No, I really didn't. Like, if anything, I need those at the end of Raw.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it makes sense. But for a 40 4-minute show that I just watched through. I don't really need a recap at this point.
Not at all.
But yeah, that was it. That was pretty much the end of the show, and the first episode of NXT, which is the NXT that we are definitely not used to now. But it was interesting. What did you think overall of the show?
I can see why I didn't watch it when it first ran.
Right.
Knowing what I know now and just having the hindsight, like, I'm very invested. Like, ooh, I want to see where this is going to play out. But I could see wherein, like, if this was a pilot episode nowadays, the season's canceled.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, like, I mean, it wasn't bad. Like, watching it was a pretty easy watch. Like, I got straight through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are certain areas that they could have like capitalized on and made kind of more apparent, like with the Straight Edge Society and the South Beach Party Boy, and then because from what it looked like you were just burying Darren Young from the jump. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if that was the intention, but that's how it came off to me. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot of stories being told. Yeah. So it was actually not a bad show at all.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I guess what we will start doing with this podcast is we'll kind of review like each of our distinct categories. I kind of wanted to start off with the commentary. I would kind of out of a score from 1 to 5, I would say that the commentary had a 3. I think overall I did enjoy it, but I think kind of like what I mentioned earlier, like I don't think they really put a big aspect of what the actual competition is. They definitely put over like the stories and everything, but if I was just a casual fan, I would be very confused of like what the actual concept of the show is and like how this is a competition. Because for me, it just felt like a buddy system at this point, where like we'll team you up with this guy and make a weird oddball pairing. But other than that, I don't know like any of the rules. Like, because when you think of other reality shows, like some reality shows, like right off the bat, kind of like do the elimination process, like right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to let you know that this is what you have to look forward to. In this show. Yeah, eliminations and stuff. Boom, this is what we're doing. They never really like set what the winner gets, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
or how you win.
Yeah, I had to rewatch the first segment with The Miz at the top of the hour to make sure, like, if I didn't miss it or anything like that. But yeah, they didn't really emphasize like what they win. They kind of just did this kind of half-ass answer of like saying like one dream will be fulfilled, but like how do we get to?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So, are we assuming that everybody wants to main event WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Is that even gonna happen?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. At the time, we definitely didn't know. So
not at
all. What would you give commentary for tonight?
I also went with 3.
Okay.
I didn't think it was bad, but it wasn't like stellar. But given what they had to work with, like there wasn't really much to comment on like in the ring up until the last match, but they could have done a way better job at like kind of illustrating certain things to the viewer. Like imagine being in that crowd watching that show.
Oh yeah,
what the hell?
I'm pretty sure it was just intrigue at that point, like they probably emphasized like I'm pretty sure this was also after SmackDown.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they kind of intrigued them saying like, oh, catch the world premiere of this new competition show. And you'll see some of your favorite stars like Jericho and Christian.
World champion Jericho.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised.
Yeah. But I, as you mentioned earlier, like, if I am not seeing like these promo packages with Punk, I would definitely be confused of like what is going on.
What are you giving me? But yeah, no, that's a 3.
Yeah. Then let's go to our matches. Overall, I'm going to give the matches tonight a 2. Obviously, we kind of went over this, but all these matches were pretty short. I'm doing an interesting thing where I'm kind of keeping track of like all the different stats as we go along, just to kind of see like how things develop as like NXT grows as well.
Nice.
Out of the 44-minute show format that they had for this season. There was literally 10 minutes of action in this thing. So there was literally only 24% wrestling throughout this show.
And that's even crazier if you go back up the commentary. So you mean to tell me most of the show wasn't even in the ring and you didn't tell me enough about it? Come on.
Yeah.
Matches, I went 1.
Oh, okay.
Because I just really didn't like what I saw.
Yeah.
Outside of like Chris Jericho and Daniel Bryan, but like I don't think that one was fair because you knew it was going to be good.
Yeah.
Or even like, you just knew it was going to be good if you had any like knowledge of just like where, Daniel Bryan came from and what he'd been doing. And then Chris Jericho was Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
But like the other matches were rough.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I was on the fence of if I should give it a 1 or a 2, but I gave it 2 just because of like the last match. And then I definitely, as we go along, we're going to like start doing these shows in month format where we'll cover like all the shows that happen in a month of NXT programming. But for me, definitely the match of the night would have to be Daniel Bryan versus Jericho by default.
Definitely.
But hopefully in these next few podcast episodes, we'll be able to flesh out from like 4 to 5 episodes of like which one is actually the match of the best match out of those groups. So next we have production. I actually gave production a high number just because it was the pilot and debut episode. I was going to give it a 3 originally, but I gave it a 4 just because like this was the first episode, so like the production guys definitely like went the extra mile. I feel. I think they were probably the MVP of like this whole show, where like they worked on really good video packages. They kind of did like a new production style compared to Raw and SmackDown. They went and established like yellow being like the trademark color that NXT has up to now, pretty much.
Or gold.
Gold now. You're right. Yeah.
Black and gold
Black and
brand.
gold.
You know what? I went 4 too.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I did. I like kind of what you said. Like since you knew it was kind of recorded or done after SmackDown and all that stuff, so like just kind of watching it, and they had the big screens for everything. The Titantron was huge. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So much going on. And,
Yeah.
Still this thing called pyro back then.
Yeah. What is that? People.
Man. Burn stuff down. But no, yeah, I thought the production was really good.
Yeah. Definitely brought their A game, I feel, and like hopefully I can't remember the rest of the season, but hopefully they do keep it up at that point.
I for sure don't know. I tuned in at some point back in the day, but like I can't wait until like episode 4 when I get invested and I start to forget that I'm supposed to be watching this retroactively. I'm just like, he's Slater. No, you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely in for a wild ride as we go along. And then the last category, of course, is putting the E in WWE with entertainment. Overall, I would give it a 4 because, like how you mentioned earlier, I think this was like a really easy watch. I think it was a combination of everything, where it was curiosity factor. It was also just like the fact that it was something new that that no one had seen before, and like just intrigued of like what the concept was going to be. And then at the same time, just like just overall, like like the pacing of the show, definitely like there was definitely the stories being told, and just like everyone was kind of I think the good thing compared to like how Tough Enough was, where Tough Enough did legitly bring on people who didn't have any wrestling experience or very little wrestling experience, as opposed to these guys are pretty much people from FCW. So they have already been through like the system, the development system, and now just being exposed to a TV audience. So at this point, like these guys have definitely like have had some experience where they can live their gimmicks better, and that they're definitely sticking to it, and pretty much overall didn't break any kayfabe from what I saw.
Yeah, no, like I like the idea. I like the idea of the seeds are planted of like developmental.
Yeah,
right then and there, and then like Tough Enough. People who were in Tough Enough, I feel bad for them because it's like the beast of the WWE is not friendly enough to just bring in your average schmuck off the street and just like, oh, you won this competition? Now you're on TV. We travel 300 days a year. Let's do it. Are you ready? And it's like, dude, no, I'm not. But like at least with NXT, it's like, all right, you've kind of been in our system for a little bit.
Yeah.
Now let's take that extra jump so you really understand.
Yeah.
So it's like you can see the seeds of like, okay, you know what? We do have a developmental system. Let's stop making it a secret.
Yeah.
Like OVW was pretty much a secret back in the day. It was like, what? You can't see none of that footage. That. It's all grainy. It looks like it's recorded on somebody's like, I don't know, like recorder with VHS.
Yeah. Even the old FCW like tapings, like there was barely anyone in that crowd, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
I know. Like if you think about what FCW was and what NXT is, I don't even understand how they made that jump like that.
Yeah.
Like what? I mean, it was almost the same thing. You just rebranded it and moved it.
Yeah. Like I think it was interesting. I wonder how they went about like the picking process too, of just like picking these 8 guys to be the first ones. Cause I think, they still definitely had like a couple of guys in FCW that they could have brought up. I mean, eventually they all did with the future seasons of NXT, but
yeah, like these first 8, it's like, what about, I mean, are they really that diverse? Like,
yeah.
I mean, they are, because then you got like, what? David Otunga's straight off of like reality TV.
Yeah.
Wade Barrett straight out of a different continent.
Yeah.
Your indie darling and Daniel Bryan. Your big buff black guy. Your big buff white guy. Your high flyer and Gabriel. And then kind of I want to say your personality guy in Heath Slater.
Oh, right. Yeah. And plus, he wasn't really rocking the whole one-man band gimmick yet, but pretty much he was like, the seeds were planted.
Yeah, you saw that he was a one-man band.
Yeah,
He just didn't say it yet.
Yeah.
Darren Young.
I mean, they were definitely trying to get the party gimmick over, but I didn't
feel like I was partying with him.
Yeah, exactly.
I just, you know what? And this was when he looked most like John Cena. I just don't understand how these 2 men look like each other in different colors.
Yeah. And then, I mean, definitely like Barrett, even though he didn't wrestle, definitely felt like the most established dude from like the pack, I think. Just like the overall, like,
the way
package.
He carried himself. I think he might have been the tallest one. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a very interesting mix. I like we're saying, like I don't know how they got to it, but there's a lot of diversity in that group, so it's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
let's see what happens with these guys.
Yeah. So then the combined score between the 2 of us, pretty much it was an average of like our scores combined. And so we give this show pretty much a solid 3.0. I think that sounds about right. Just when you think about like the conception of the show being the first show, but at the same time like delivering below average wrestling, I think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the production was good. The matches maybe not so much, but there was still at least one that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still short, but, it was like if you were to take an episode of Raw and make it 45 minutes, you would have, like, the same kind of, like, format. You'd probably have, like, 3 matches. 2 of them would be ass. 1 of them would be great. And then you'd have a whole bunch talking.
Yeah, it actually did. Now that you said it, it does kind of remind me of the old school Raw when it was just like the hour format.
Oh, man.
Of, just kind of squeezing in a bunch of like squash matches and really just leaving room for like 1 5 to 7 minute match for someone like the main eventers at that point.
Man, you know what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like, if you really just sit back and think back about what Monday Night Raw was, I mean, I know we're talking about NXT, but I'm going to go on a tangent just for a little bit.
Yeah.
Think about what Monday Night Raw was. You had, like, an hour. And then you got, 2-3 matches.
Yeah.
At least now in 3 hours of Raw, I get 3-4 matches.
Yeah.
So, let's just be grateful for what we had.
That's true. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Yeah, I think kind of just putting it side by side from what they originally went away from with ECW. The structure of the show is, of course, very different. Where like they're really emphasizing the competition side of it. But yeah, I still enjoy the aspect of like what they're trying to do is eventually pretty much their whole idea is just to get this FCW like talent over pretty much. So I think this did a really good job of just like initially introducing you to these characters and then throughout the season just kind of like giving the other guys the equal amount of spotlight and then seeing how it went from there.
You know, I think some of these guys were sacrificial lambs.
Oh, yeah.
And then some of them were like, there's something, we see it with you. We just need to get it out. So let's get you in front of TV without throwing you on TV too early.
Right.
And then, you know, you could tell, like, you can't really tell from the beginning who it was, but it just kind of everybody started to weed themselves out.
Right.
Who's really good, like, on the microphone or who's better in the ring. It's like, it was, I know it was like a scripted show.
Yeah.
But you can see the competition aspects in it because some people were just way better at certain things than others. So it's like they were competing with each other, but indirectly competing with each other because they were competing in a different kind of way.
Yeah, when you like kind of compare it to Tough Enough, it's two different aspects where like you have actual like trained talent versus people who don't know what they're doing.
Like Tough Enough, we were watching them learn how to wrestle.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, that's agonizing.
Yeah. I can definitely see why they decided to go more with this format.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember. I should have looked it up, but I think this is. I think they did either another season of Tough Enough or 2 seasons of Tough Enough after this episode of NXT debuted. But I think that's when they kind of went into a different direction where like
they took people with experience.
Yeah.
Because that was I know what you're talking about. They did the one and that big dude.
I forget his name. Andy, I think his name was?
Yeah. Well, they might have did a couple after that.
Yeah.
There was like
because there was the Steve Austin one, and then there was the one that Jericho, and then
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. I think that was the one with Dream in it. I think Velveteen Dream. That was definitely the last Tough Enough one, but I can't remember if there was like 2 or 3. But
I think there were 3 because who won that one? Or that was the Sarah and the big black dude.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because Sarah ended up marrying Wesley Blake.
Really?
Yeah, she married Wesley Blake. They had a kid, and she retired.
Oh.
And then the big dude got released, and he came back as like a security guard in another segment, like last year.
Oh, wow!
Super random. I was like, what is this? Let's see. And then the one before that was. Yeah, because Sarah beat Mandy Rose.
Oh, right.
And then there was the other season with the bigger white guy and who was the person opposing, or like the girl or something like that. But there was like a big white dude, and he like faded out real quick. Sad.
Yeah. Well, anyway, any last thoughts on this very first milestone episode of NXT?
You know, I'm invested.
Okay.
They got me in that first episode. It was enough. I'm looking forward to all of it just to kind of look at everything all over again. Like, I'm even looking forward to the Raw recap. Yeah. I want to see what was going on at that time and just be like, wow.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think just kind of like going back in history, I'm really glad that we're doing this podcast in general because a lot of these early season style versions of NXT were really interesting. I think from what I remember, this was the most. This season was where they kind of respected the format still a bit more, and then I think it went into more of the wackier, sillier side as we went along. But
I remember some of those.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we're covering at least these first ones to kind of get a reminder of like how it was when they still gave it like respect, and then
this is the best one, I think. And so, you know, it's only right that this starts the journey through all of NXT.
Exactly. I totally agree. For the next episode, there's going to be the debut of the other two pros, and the main event for next week is Hardy and Gabriel versus Skip and Regal. Are you looking forward to that one?
I am actually really looking forward to see that, like, that dichotomy between the two who are probably the two high flyer guys, and then a really buff guy and William Regal.
Oh yeah, like I think you're right. I didn't even think about like that combination of those two pretty much. These next few episodes kind of feel like this first one, where like there's just a lot of wrestling without the competition part of it yet. They actually finally do the first pro poll at the end of the month, so that's where we kind of get reinvested into the whole competition side of it. But
I think of it as more of like a reminder that this is a competition. It's
yeah,
like, hey, you got to vote for something. What?
I feel like they kind of initially just went with the idea, but then backstage didn't really like flesh out what the details were going to be with this format. Do you have the same feeling?
It might have just been one of those like, all right, we're going to do this show, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a competition, pros and rookies.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the rookies are from FCW.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. How do they... And then they were just like, do it. And they just... You know what? Maybe like the idea was thought up by McMahon or whoever, and then the execution was run by just producers.
Right. It definitely feels like, like, okay, here's his idea and this is what he just wants overall, but like how are we actually going to get there, kind of a thing?
You know, it was like, here's 3.
Yeah.
Get 1 and 2. Make it add together. Or get 3 1s. I don't know. Figure it out. And he just walked away. With the McMahon strut at that.
Yeah. You can just picture him just like,
you know, swinging his shoulders and just walking by.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for checking us out on our first episode. This has been a blast, and I had fun, definitely, just like going back and watching this. Right now, we're still kind of getting everything set up for the show. So by the time you hear this, we'll have like all of our social media plugs in for the show. If you want to follow us there, just look at our bio at this point, and then you'll see links to our social media. But I first want to give a plug and shout out to our parent company, which is Grow Canvas Grow. Definitely without them, we wouldn't be able to kind of just like start up this podcast in the first place, and just kind of, just on the production level, just to get everything ready for this podcast.
For sure, our production gets a 5.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. 5 for production.
Every episode.
Commentary and production and entertainment, 5. We get 0s for matches, though.
So yeah, if you can do us a favor and follow us on Instagram at our handle at GrowCanvasGrow, or you can check out the website at growcanvasgrow.com for the latest updates there. You have any shout outs or plugs you want to do?
Shout out to the Competitor News on Instagram. I like them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, so thanks again, everyone. This is Notorious Nando and
Hacksaw Slim Thuggin.
Oh, damn. There we go. Thanks again, and check us out on the next episode. Have a good one.